Hi guys, so in today's video, I'm giving you a Wheel of Time character tier list. This is going to be very difficult. I'm going to try to actually not put all of them in the S tier because I really like them. I'm going to try to summon some B or C tier characters. It's gonna be difficult, so it doesn't mean that I think the characters are badly written, basically. This is the disclaimer. So we're gonna have your usual S tier, plus we're gonna have an S plus for a special two characters which I think everybody loves. So let's get into it. First up, we have Galad. This is gonna be difficult. I know many people aren't very warm to the guy, but the thing that I can give to him is that he sticks to his principles. It's just the fact that not necessarily that we don't get to spend as much time with him, because we really don't, but I didn't really feel something to the character. He had a bunch of great scenes. I just don't feel it. I just don't. It's not a dislike, it's just a lukewarm feeling. So yeah, that's basically the denominator that's going to make me put him in C tier. Next up, we have Logain, and I love him. I absolutely adore him from the moment we first see him throughout his arc. I'm not going to say anything because I'm trying to make this video as spoiler-free as possible, and I'm not going to spoil any important plots, but I really like his arc. I really relished any single time he had any page time in the book, and I actually would have liked if we had more scenes with him, because he's just such an interesting character. We meet him at a point in his life that things aren't great for the guy, and I really enjoy his arc. I really enjoy knowing him and seeing how he evolves and getting to see his morally gray side, and I think that he feels very real. And I really hope that in the TV show that's coming up, we're going to see more of him, because they might be able to do that. And yeah, for that reason alone, he's going to be in A tier. I know it sounded like I was going to place him in S tier, but it's just he's an A tier character that I really love. So next up, we have Aviendha. Wow. I don't know if this is controversial, but I really like her. I really enjoy, just with Logain, her arc. I really enjoy getting to know her as how she was at the beginning and how she evolves, and to see her vulnerable and to see her part in the story. I think she's a great character. I think she is one of my favorite girl characters in the book, because she's so unique. The way she acts, the way she's influenced by the fact that she's Aiel, and from the get-go I was intrigued by her. I wanted to know more about her, and I'm really happy that I got to that. But she's not going to be an S tier, just because there were parts to her character that were a bit, not necessarily annoying, but she doesn't feel like an S tier character. She doesn't have that certain something for me personally. So she's going to be in A tier, which for me is amazing. So I don't know how you guys think of tier lists, but S and A are the best. So A tier. Next, we have Thom Althor. He is... I'm not thinking it's not a bad thing, but I really liked him. I really liked the way he talked to Rand. I really liked, especially in the beginning, the part he plays in the story, and he's such a ray of sunshine throughout. He is one of the characters that gives you hope and happiness, and this is very hard to find. And whenever he was on the page, I knew it was going to be a good time. I was very happy to see him any single time that he appeared. But I think that maybe because of the page time that he got, because he didn't necessarily have an arc per se, because we meet him when he's older, he went through stuff. He's going to be a B tier, the first character in the B tier list because I love him, but just because of that, he's going to be a B tier for me personally. Thom. We have Thom next up, and he's our favorite Gleeman. I really enjoyed him. I mean, also, I'm on my first read, like I've finished my first read. I haven't reread any of the books, so maybe my opinion will change on all the characters or maybe some of the characters, but I really like Thom. I love the way he was introduced to the story. I really love the fact that he kept on surprising us in a sense throughout his story. Yeah, I think he added a lot in the Wheel of Time universe, and for that reason alone, he's going to be in the A tier. I really enjoyed all the story. I mean, there was the storyline that I didn't really enjoy, but there were so many stories with him that I really enjoyed and were some of my favorites. And yeah, he's a great character. He's our favorite Gleeman. Next up, we have Loial. This is going to be controversial. Don't get me wrong. He's a sweetheart. He is just a bundle of joy. He's our bookworm of sorts. Not of sorts, he's actually a bookworm. But it's just the single fact that if our attention wasn't as much on Loial and his people throughout the series. And I think that just because of that, because we didn't get so much time with him, we didn't learn how complex he was, how interesting his mythos and their people's mythos is. I'm going to be placing him in B tier. Just because of that reason alone. B tier. And this is where the S+ tier comes into play, because obviously Hopper is going to be there next to the next character in line, which is Bella. And I think we can all agree that they deserve this. Like, they deserve the S+ tier, and I love them. We all love them. We need pictures of Bella on set right now. So yeah, they're going to be the S+ tier characters for sure. So, after them, after the stars of the show,
you're the star of the show,
we have Birgitte. I'm a bit conflicted. You see, my initial reaction is to place all the characters in the A tier because I love them so much, but I think she's a B tier character for me because, first of all, because I have to put characters in the B tier. And secondly, I just feel like because she was kind of like a side character in a sense, it's just, I cannot place her in the A tier. And I know I placed Logain, but I think that Logain showed more potential in a sense that his story could develop more. Whereas Birgitte was, I mean, she evolved a lot throughout the story, but it's just that we saw her when she was what she was already, so she's going to be a B tier character. Still love her though, a lot. Elayne. Next up we have Elayne, and I don't know if this is controversial because I've been on Reddit and I know what people think of Elayne. I really love her. I didn't necessarily have as many issues as I've seen other people have with her, because I don't know if I just skipped through them or I was like, okay, she's going through something, but I didn't feel like she was annoying, or I mean, she had her moments, but yeah, still she's not A tier character material, so she's going to be in B tier. I think the B tier is going to have the most characters of all. But yeah, Elayne, I liked her. I really enjoyed most of her story and what she goes through. There were some questionable stuff, but I didn't feel like she was as annoying. And still, I'm on my first read, so maybe on the second read I'll be like, well, what the hell are you doing? Like, stop. Stop right now. But she doesn't feel like a higher tier character, so B, she goes to B with Birgitte and everyone else. Now we have Faile. And to be honest, from the get-go, she's a C tier character. I don't know, she's not as well-rounded in a sense as the other characters, so she cannot be on a higher level. And also, I don't know, she was just annoying at times, or making another character annoying through her influence on that character. But yeah, she's a C tier character, so let's get a going. Next we have Tuon. I absolutely adore the character. I absolutely adore the way the character was written. Like, it accomplishes what Robert Jordan wanted us to feel. Like, it wasn't like you get frustrated because it's written badly. You get frustrated because Robert Jordan wanted you to. And I hate her policies. I hate the way she thinks, her priorities, her motives. I really enjoyed the fact that we see glimpses of her changing her mind because she's influenced by other characters. And I heard that Robert Jordan was actually planning on like writing a bunch of stories, and maybe we would have gotten to see her perspective more in the other stories. So maybe that would have done her more justice. It's very hard for me to think that would have done it in a sense, because she's at times, but because she's so like priorities, like wow, morality, where she's going to go to the D tier. And yeah, I just didn't, I was scared every time I saw her, basically. So D tier for her. So next up we have Min, and at the beginning I really enjoyed her story, and I really enjoyed her as a character basically throughout the time period she appears in. I'm saying this very ambiguous because I don't want to tell you guys that throughout the whole books or throughout the first part, because I don't want to spoil any character's arc in any way. So throughout her story, I really enjoyed her, but towards the ending, it's not that she doesn't do anything, but it's just that it's not very in your face, haha, I'm doing something. It's just very static. So just because of that, doesn't have that A or S material, she's going to be in the B tier yet again. Next up we have Egwene. Egwene is one of my favorite characters that I've read in the series. She has one of the most interesting rides. She has one of the most interesting developments. She is such a well-rounded, such an interesting character to spend your time with. She has one of the best scenes, in my opinion, from the whole series. She is just jaw-dropping at times, and I really, really love her. I really love the fact that she's from the Two Rivers gang. And I don't know, I just love to see like how long she's come. And that's the thing that I really enjoy about all of these characters. The fact that when you look back on them, it feels like you've known them for like a lifetime, and you actually got to see them grow up. You actually got to see them evolve and react to the situations they were put in. And that's what makes them all the more real. And yeah, Gawyn is such an amazing character. I know people are at times annoyed with her. I was as well. But I mean, she was annoying, but she made me love her. So she's going to be the first character that I put in the S tier, because she so much deserves it, in my opinion. I just loved her. I loved the ending to her story and everything throughout. So yeah, she's just wow. Next up, we have Siuan. Talking about amazing characters. She just hooked me from the first scene that we got to see her, throughout everything that she's been through, and from the way that she talks a lot about like fishing. And I really like that about her. It makes her so unique. You can see that she was raised where she was raised in Terra, I think. And I just fell in love with her from the first time. She was very demanding respect from all the characters. And it makes her an A tier character for me, because it's just, she sticks with you. Like, if you've read the series, you know that she's one of the characters that you come to love. So A tier character for sure. Next up, we have Gawyn. We love to hate him. So I understand why people don't like him. I understand why everybody hates him. I like him. I mean, I get why he was reacting the way he was, because he had this amount of information, and that's what he acted on, because he was never informed of what was going on. So he was trying to do what he thought was best with what he had. So I'm going to place him in C tier, not in D tier, because I just liked him. Like, he was infuriating at times, but I don't think he was a bad character. Like, I don't think he made the mistakes that he did the best that he could. Maybe he was hot-headed, maybe he was just at times, but I still like the guy. So he's a C tier character. I think that Tuon is going to be the only D tier character here. I have a feeling. Next up, we have Thom. I'm not gonna say anything. He's an A character. He's an A tier character, Mazrim, and yeah, that's it. I'm not going to say anything about him. Next up, we have Moiraine, and obviously she is an S tier character. She is just absolutely amazing. I just love how mystical and mysterious and maybe even frightening she is when we first meet her. And I love the part that she plays in the character's story and how she influences them, how she interacts with every one of them. She is such a well-written character with so much depth and so much heart. And yeah, she's just S tier for me. I just absolutely adore her. I cannot wait to see Rosamund Pike in the role, because so good. Next up, we have Fain. He is a D tier character for me. I said that Tuon might be the only one, but she's joined by Fain. And the only thing that bugs me is his ending felt kind of rushed. Yeah, he was this cool character. Not gonna say more, but it felt a bit rushed, his arc. And I think I really want to see the TV show do a better job, like know that this was kind of a sort of a weak point. And I hope they kind of change it or make it more like complex and not as rushed in a sense. So a D tier character for me. Next up, we have Mazrim Cawthon. He is my favorite character in the Wheel of Time universe. I think he might be the most liked character by fans, so this is not a shocker to anybody. I love like how he read on page. I loved his character, his arc. I loved how goofy he was at times. He felt like such a great character. And I know even Brandon said that he feels like he let down Matt throughout certain books when he wrote him. I didn't feel it personally. Like, I like that he was a bit like bitchy at times. And yeah, I cannot wait to reread the whole series and to like see if my opinions change, but it's very hard for me to think so because Matt is just such a great and unique character. So yeah, he is an S tier character, obviously. Next up, we have Perrin, and I'm really struggling because I love Perrin. He has S tier material, but there was that part in that book that he just felt a bit ugh. And I get why that felt like that, but it's making me place him in A tier but I'm not going to do that because I love him. Like, I love his arc. I love the way that he was written and made up to be like this like teddy bear, but that's dangerous in a sense. And yeah, I cannot place him on the A tier because he is Perrin. Like, come on. S tier material all the way. Even though he might be in the end of the S tier characters, like on the right on the edge, but still S tier character. Next up, we have Nynaeve, and she is one of my favorite, if not my actual favorite woman, I guess, woman character in the series. I absolutely adored her. I just, even though she made me angry at times, like so angry, like I was so frustrated with her. It wasn't that she was still poorly written at all. It was just that she had to like understand what she was going through, so that was her natural reaction. I really like that they didn't take this well, some of them, and like the things they were going through affected them in such different ways. It just sort of happens that Nynaeve was so annoying, but I still love her nonetheless, and she is, in my opinion, even more like, I like her more than Moiraine, because Moiraine, if you've read the story, you know. But I really love Nynaeve, and she's going to be like right next to Matt. Her path in the story might be one of the most interesting to follow. So yeah, definitely S tier character. Next up we have Lan. You know what I love about Lan is the fact that we meet him at a point in his life that, in a sense, his development, his growth has already happened. So we meet him, he's super skilled, super interesting, super stone-faced, and still, even though he's evolved, even though he's been through so much, he's still such an amazing character that has a very great story to tell. And I don't want to say more, because anything you can say about Lan might be a spoiler, as with any of the characters. But he's definitely an A tier character for me. I don't know where exactly, but he's an A tier character because he's one of the first people that we meet, and you just are so intrigued and enamored by him from the first, like from the get-go. So yeah, I cannot place him any lower than that. Finally, we have Brand al'Thor, and obviously he's an S tier. He's on the first place in S tier because he is the best character that I've ever read in any of the books that I've read so far. He is so freaking interesting. Like the time when you meet him first, when he is a sheep herder, to the time when his story ends, he goes through so much. Like, you get to see him grow and evolve and go through stages, very different stages that you wouldn't have necessarily expected, but it feels so natural, and you are happy with him, you grieve with him, you just go through this ride, and you see by the end of his story, if you reflect upon how he was at the beginning, it's such a shocker, just like with the other characters, but with him most, because you get to see how much he's grown, and you feel like you've known the guy for such a long time. It's such an unreal feeling that I think other books aren't necessarily able to recreate, because Wheel of Time is 15 books long, so that plays a big part in the story. But yeah, his character is one of the most interesting characters that I've ever read, and I just absolutely relish any second of his story. He is the best character that I've read so far in my life, like any book, and in this story as well. He's an S tier character. So yeah, if you guys have any thing to say, what are your opinions on my tier character list, and let me know what you think. What are your favorite characters from the story? What are characters that you absolutely despised? And I'm very interested to finding out and seeing how people reacted to everything in the story. And yeah, you guys let me know down in the comments what are your thoughts, and if you haven't already, you can click here to subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!